Thank you very much for that generous introduction. It's not only me. We have got two panelists who are equally, if not more, capable, knowledgeable, and have the requisite guidance that probably we are seeking for. So all three of us today will try to dwell upon the ACCA qualification with regards to the various other qualifications that are there, and naturally also on the academic front, since there are many degrees. But before I go into that, let me quickly introduce you to Hayford. Hayford Integrated Training Institute is a state-of-the-art institute, which is accredited by KHDA and CPD UK. It is also the learning partner with ACCA, and that is why we have this joint webinar which we are discussing about ACCA and its benefits to the students, and probably guiding them as to what could be their future path. Hayford, as being an integrated training institute, also provides online live training programs and is a pioneer institute, okay, that offers and facilitates short internship for hands-on experience. And that is why, being an integrated institute, it has that benefit of providing to its students. Hayford is, I don't need to say this, but probably Hayford is one of those teams that we have which has a combined professional experience of about 300 plus years across industries and domains. And hence, that is why the institute has been, working well towards giving students the opportunity to work on different spheres. As we speak, there are various courses of ACCA which are already live with Hayford. So for those of you who are interested, you may visit the website and probably look through that. That is Hayford for you. Let me introduce to you my two panelists. I've joined by Mr. Taher Kapasi. He is one of, I would say, the most important persons when it comes to ACCA. He is the head of education Middle East at the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Taher is responsible for establishing and nurturing key relationship with educational institutions such as us, as well as ensuring existing students are supported through their qualifications journey, right? He is a committed advocate of the transformative power of education and learning, as all of us are. However, Taher has been in ACCA since 2016, and has been engaging with universities, national bodies, ACCA-approved learning providers, the Big Four firms, and key employers in order to support the profile and presence of ACCA in the Middle East, alongside assisting our key stakeholders in shaping their accounting and finance talent. So I welcome Taher, you to this webinar. Naturally, we are looking for all the enrichment that you can provide to the participants on this webinar today.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Okay, thanks, Taher. My second panelist, Mr. Alok Bishnoi. He is a senior finance and risk advisory professional, a fellow chartered accountant as me, has been in the Gulf for over 20 plus years, with his experience in enterprise risk management, financial reporting, budgeting, and finance and corporate governance. He is one of those individuals who has worked with the maximum of the big fours, or I would say the big fives, be it EY, Protiviti. Along with that, he has also worked with large family offices, and his core expertise is in the non-financial sector, where if it is healthcare, education, oil and gas, infrastructure. He has been very important individual when it comes to the risk advisory practice of AJMS, where he leads currently as a senior partner. So I welcome you, Mr. Alok, to the webinar, and we look forward to your enrichment with the knowledge that you have.
Thanks, Gaurav, for the generous introduction. Always a pleasure.
Okay, so I think we are done with the introductions. I think Taher, without further ado, I think I'll ask the important question first, which all of us are always interested in, which is how about my career growth? How about my career development? So in that sense, you are an ACCA, Taher. How do you think, or what do you think ACCA has contributed on your career, especially on your career growth and the development?
Thank you very much, Gaurav. That's a very interesting question to kind of begin with, but I think one which really kind of sets the scene for me, because I, alongside being a passionate advocate for, careers in accounting, I think I am truly an advocate of the ACCA qualification for various reasons, but I think most importantly for the impact it's had on my personal life. So, coming from typically that South Asian background, Indian family, father was an engineer, mother was a from the medical profession. I being the first, son in the family, first child, naturally, I didn't have much of a choice. My parents had planned, either I will go and do, engineering, or I will probably go and end up doing medical. And I had, on the contrary, for myself, decided something else when I was quite young in school. And, having passed my 12th standard, I felt, well, I could probably do better with, taking up commerce or taking up accountancy and finance as a profession. So when I'm sitting and thinking back, I think I go back to that very difficult conversation I had with my father, typically brought up in Dubai, living that expat life, on the dinner table one day saying, well, I have thought something about my life. And then it was as if I had dropped a bomb in the house at that time, when I had said, well, I don't want to do engineering, or I don't want to do medicine. Instead, I might want to become a qualified chartered accountant. And I remember nobody said a word for the next 30 minutes. It was as if I didn't say anything. But I think, having said that and kind of answering my father's question at that time, so what do you want to do? And coming from a Gujarati family, he said, do you want to write books? Literally in Gujarati, he said, you want to write books for people? And I said, no, I don't think that's all accounting and finance professionals do. I'm sure there's a lot more. And I hope now, if I had the opportunity to revisit that conversation, I think I could add a lot more. Accountants have come by far a long way from just kind of, being ledger or bookkeepers. The profession has become extremely dynamic. What modern day accounting and finance professionals do is incredible. So I think I would have had that conversation much better. But I mean, coming back to your question, Gaurav, every time someone asks me this, I have a trip down that memory lane. I think as a professional qualification, being 18 years old in India, just finishing my high school, I feel like I at some point took the right step. I was at that time in my life faced with two choices, within the accountancy kind of umbrella, is either do the Indian chartered or, professional, the ACCA qualification. And with all due respect, I think Indian chartered accountants are absolute geniuses. I don't know if I could have ever been able to be one if, I embarked on that route. But I think I see my decision of going with ACCA as a blessing in disguise, because purely, of the reach of the qualification. We are a professional qualification that has global reach. It's based on international financial reporting standards, which, as you all know, is 144 countries out of 192 countries in the world have pledged to IFRSs. And, it's qualified accountants who have the knowledge of IFRS are highly in demand. And not just that, with my qualification, it was an easier route for me to move abroad. It's almost as if I got a global passport with the ACCA, and not even gone to a university. I never went to a traditional university. All I did was my ACCA qualification right after school, and I was able to find jobs in Scotland. I've worked in the UK. I worked in Bahrain. I've worked in India, and been working in Dubai for many years. So all in all, it's a good package. The qualification also offers a lot of flexibility, and I think that's the beauty about the qualification. The entry is quite easy, so there are no kind of artificial barriers to entry to the qualification, and the flexibility it kind of offers in terms of full-time learning, part-time learning, however you want, you can decide your journey. So I think all of those have been absolutely brilliant and phenomenal. And I've seen, as a career, I've gone from working for, retail industry to working for firms, two of the big four firms, to then getting into the education industry, doing a little bit of teaching myself, and now into this kind of educational consulting role, a diversity in kind of jobs and things I've done. So it's all been on the basis of my ACCA qualification.
That's great to hear, Taher. And let me tell you, you were in the memory lane, but I myself went to my as to when I decided that I wanted to become a child. I do understand that current sphere and the current requirements of accountants, and time we choosing ACCA. Now we have the option of choosing ACCA. So that option as options, you don't have an option, right? With it. But I go on the same route. But yes, I think I totally understand. And probably you're very clearly highlighted how your career has moved across industries and how you have developed because of what you have with an ACCA degree. Similar questions, now what I feel, being a parent to a teenager likely to, move into, high school. There are various degrees that I have that you can take now, with be it ACCA, be it others that are there around, and probably go for a bachelor's or otherwise. What do you think, in your opinion, sets apart, the ACCA course as compared to those? Probably maybe a unique feature or unique features that ACCA can provide to the students. I think this is something for the parents are also to understand, because at certain point of time, as in your case, the parents kept mum for about 30 minutes, but now it is more of a conversation to convince each other, right? So in that sense, I believe probably if you can dwell on that, probably I will have an easier conversation with my wife and with my son when we decide as to where he wants to move.
So thanks, Gaurav. And I think this is an absolute appropriate conversation to have, because anytime I'm doing sessions like these, or I'm hosting any kind of or speaking at an event for future students, etc., I get this question asked. I think one of the key things to consider here is also around, why are we doing all of this? Eventually we want the children, or we want for ourselves to be able to reach our career goals, to be able to kind of start, kind of building on our careers, getting across that journey as soon as possible. Now, tertiary education, very much respected, very much, but that's not just the end to it. There was a time, if we were having this conversation about 20-30 years ago, even if somebody was just a graduate in accounting, that was very much, it was good enough, as opposed to now, if we are having conversations, and I see some of my cousins and their children in India, they get completely demotivated even when they're getting 95-97%, and so that's the type of competition we're looking at. So I think it's very important to consider what the end goal is. We all want to get employed. We all want to get recognized. We know for a fact that students are not going to stop at just graduating this day and age. They are going to consider a postgraduate qualification. They are going to want to, do something which is more specialized. And there is no problem with that. This mentality or this trend has come because it's been kind of dictated by the employers. And the employers have said, we want our employees to have specializations. We want our employees to have that kind of qualifications that we know give them the right kind of skills, the right blend of skills. So I think that choice becomes a lot more easier with the qualification, like professional qualification like ACCA. You're able to get the best of both worlds. So you are able to become a chartered accountant very quickly, as well as you get your bachelor's degree from Oxford Brookes University. You get a master's from University of London because of our kind of exclusive partnership. So in all, it's like a comprehensive package, and you get the both best of both worlds. So you get your professional qualification. You are looking at becoming a chartered accountant in about 3 or 4 years, max 5 years after you've finished your your school, and alongside in that journey doing that, you're also getting a bachelor's degree from a reputable UK university and a master's qualification from another reputable UK university. So I think in all, it presents itself as a good package. And for people like us who are expatriates in this part of the world, it's also value for money. We look at universities here, and we look at the kind of fees that is being charged. If we're considering sending our children back home into India, into Pakistan, wherever they are from, this presents as a good value for money option, ensuring your children are with you. They have the flexibility to study any part of the world. They can sit their exams in any part of the world. And I think these are some very unique value propositions the qualification can offer.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head here when you say about, what are the different opportunities, and especially the bachelor's and the master's that you just spoke about. That is a unique proposition. I totally agree with you. And probably that is one of those which attracts, to most of the parents, I would say. I'm not sure about the students. Probably students would have their own say. But yes, as a parent, I can think probably that is one of the best options available. Great, Taher. Thank you very much for giving us such a detailed and probably a simple, explainable, understandable answer. Let's move to Alok. Alok, I know you must have had a few thoughts, memory, down memory line, but I would take you to the current industry requirements. Alok, you have been in this industry, with consulting, accounting for about 2 decades now. What are the current industry requirements, especially when it comes to finance and accounting professionals? What do you think are the current necessities herein? If you can dwell on that, that would be very helpful to the audience that we have today.
Perfect. Thanks, Gaurav, for asking this very important question. As Taher was actually responding to the first question, it was very clear that initially the finance function was thought to be equipped with people who only write books, right? However, now we have all witnessed a paradigm shift in the role of the finance function, right? Which it is actually playing in the organization. Earlier, what used to be focused on accounting and reporting has now developed into a finance business partner's role. The expectations from the function range from detailed analysis of all the financial impacts, whether it is long-term, mid-term, or short-term, of any decisions which the organization is contemplating. Finance representatives, be it the CFO or the Director of Finance or financial controllers, they are now part of all the major executive committees within any organization, be it government organizations, or semi-government organizations, family offices, private listed entities, or any other type of organizations across the globe. Their views are very important on all aspects related to policy, process, controls, operations, reporting, and also on the regulatory matters. We have seen that the cost benefit analysis, which is currently being done, right, it is becoming one of the key parameters for any new initiatives which are actually being taken. Now, as we see the role has evolved, so the demands of the team has also seen a change. Earlier, one of the main criteria of selection was expertise on accounting standards and also some expertise on special guidance related to complex transactions. Now the focus is on individuals who are well versed with the application of business, technology, management accounting, taxation, and also strategic business reporting. We are all looking for candidates who have a bit of practical experience as well. Further, industry is always more welcoming, and all of us know this for sure, for candidates who are confident and ready to face the mid and senior management very quickly. It is more applicable in a consulting environment, but also in the industry sectors as well. We see this trend actually now growing. This is something which we would actually majorly get in candidates who come from a professional qualification background, as they have handled pressure during their course of study as well. Last but not the least, I think one of the key things which we are actually looking for is candidates who have a global perspective. This is also very important in these days. Earlier, companies were very country specific. Now, the time is for MNCs. And hence, candidates who have a qualification which has a global recognition, that's definitely a plus point. These are a few of the points which I feel I can actually think on the top of my head as of now. But definitely, I think as Taher aptly put it, right, that any professional qualification that has a global recognition, that is very important.
Very truly, yeah. I think Alok, you also mentioned the same bit that I was also thinking. As you know, being where we are today, and the recruitments that we do, we generally look at people who have a global perspective, if not knowledge, but at least the perspective. And as Taher was mentioning, you were mentioning, I think having that with the ACCA qualification and the bachelor's that we're talking about, I think that is what we also look towards. Myself, if we are to recruit, we think from that perspective as well. And that is one thing that I can very clearly mention, that we also need people who can think like what not only MNCs here, I wouldn't say MNCs, but also for people who have presence in different countries. There are so many companies now. No, nothing is country specific, more in the recent, everything is globalized, right? And to have a course like ACCA, I totally get your point where you were headed, and thank you for that. Taher, similar to that, probably something that I've been thinking myself. Probably you would be the correct person to answer. Um, can you share any success stories or notable achievements of individuals who have completed ACCAs? Probably that will give a good blend of a thought and probably a progression that the students and the parents can think of.
Sure, Gaurav. I think, and sort of very much aligned to my own personal belief, I think the qualification in itself enables people to kind of change their lives for the better, change their careers. And I think, including my own experience and my own life experience and my career, I have seen several instances where I've actually, before joining the ACCA, I used to be a part of one of our learning partner network, and I used to work as a course manager, for that academy. And it's incredible, at events when you come across ex-students, you come across people who kind of come up to you, say, well, I'm a member now, I had heard you at my university, and then I decided to pursue ACCA, or you'd come to my school, or you had taught me XYZ at this particular place, etc., and say, now this is where I am, this is what I've achieved. So countless number of people I've seen growing from within the industry or the firms, growing from associates towards becoming directors or partners, or even in the industry going into the C-suite roles, etc. So it's incredibly pleasing. But I think one very notable instance that I can share, absolutely off the top of my head, would be something I came across fairly recently, and this is about a guy who had come from Cameroon, and he eventually ended up getting a job as a cleaner in one of the highly reputable organizations in the UAE. It's a company called Dulsco, and the CFO of Dulsco is an ACCM member, Martin Bradley. And coincidentally, this guy, he was also an ACCA student, and he was here to study, etc. And he happened to have a conversation with the CFO, and that's how the CFO realized this guy is an ACCA student, and he was eventually doing a cleaning job in the company. He was then picked up from that position, given a role in the finance team, accounting team as a junior analyst, and he moved from there. And now he's actually in a span of 1.5 or 2 years, he's risen up to becoming the finance manager of the team, and he's got a few people reporting to him. So I think that particular instance of that story was very much touching, and very much a kind of testament to how this one qualification and the network that it has and the power of the network of this qualification can actually enable people to go and, opens up opportunities, doors of opportunities for people globally, anywhere, where they are. This person coming in from a completely different company, landing a very basic level job, to then being identified as someone, and all because he had the term ACCA associated with him. That was incredible to kind of note down. In fact, I think the person also won an award last year. It's called the Takdir UAE Takdir Award for this story. So it was very incredible to see that.
Oh, that's great. I think that is one of those stories that probably will be in my mind for long now. I can just think about the situation that person would have been, and having met the CFO and then had this conversation. I think, yeah, you whatever you mentioned, I think, yeah, I'm just thinking about that person, as we speak. Taher, since we are talking about the industry, are there are certain things that probably people want to think, understand, and especially the students now with this globalized industry that we are in. Everyone is interested in understanding, are there networking, collaboration opportunities that the students might get with the ACCA, courses that they do? Because in this environment that we are, naturally networking and collaboration is the way to move ahead, right?
Yes.
Be it countries, be it companies, be it individuals. If you want to succeed, that is the way to success. In that sense, just wanted, maybe if you can touch base on that bit, that would be very helpful for the listeners here.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And I think if we take ourselves a few steps backward from this question and go to the very basics as well, I think where I would like to start from is that these professional qualifications are absolutely just a key to unlock a door. How you enter that door after you've unlocked it with the key is absolutely down to the person, the individual, how motivated they are, how much driven they are, what are the other skill sets that they have. Because again, talking about how you can enhance your career, etc., networking definitely one of the important skill sets. A couple of other things is how you communicate, how you, because if we were to give jobs on the basis of qualifications, I think processes of interviews would have not existed. We would have just seen a candidate CV saying, oh wow, ACCA member, fine, khalas, give them a job and that's it, job done. But the reason why we have an interview process and sometimes 2 or 3 rounds is because we want to assess the candidate on several other qualities. And so as a professional body, our job is not just limited to ensuring that we are producing. It's not a production belt where chartered accountants are being produced year after year, etc. Our job involves very much ensuring that our qualified members have the right blend of skills, have got the right aptitudes to be able to land, and networking, communication, being able to present themselves, financial acumen, business acumen are very much the core skills of the ACCA qualification. So yes, I mean, to come back to your answer, networking is something that is very important, and we as a professional qualification body do present our future members and members with that capability via various events that we host, in each of the markets that we are present in over the course of the year. We also try, and employability is a big thing for us. So we also ensure that we're giving our students the opportunity. Therefore, we have a dedicated ACCA careers platform where, our kind of employers, our approved employers can list their vacancies and can then kind of filter through qualified ACCA members or ACCA students for the relevant jobs, etc. So these are, instances how we build in networking opportunities for our future members, our students, and our members as well. And our learning partners also do a fantastic job, across the region in hosting games. There are groups like the ACCA Sports Master groups that have cricket tournaments, badminton tournaments, and various competitions and casual activities. So there's things happening all around the year for students to engage themselves with.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I think with where we are, some sports activity is even better, because that's where you get to build a team, with the team, learn how a team works, and it enhances the skill set. Totally agree with you. Alok, as we were speaking about, the industry, we spoke about, what are the network and collaborative opportunities that the students might have. I think more about employability. With new recruitments in the industry, what is the employability of ACCAs as compared to other academic degrees or courses that are there? What do you think, based on your experience of 2 decades? Where does ACCA stand as compared to the other academic courses that are there in the market? Maybe if you can probably give us a view, because you have been in this field and recruiting a lot of accountants and individuals therein. Probably that will help us in understanding as to what is the course that probably students are looking at, and probably employability, which is, as Taher was mentioning, the most important thing for all of us here.
Oh, you're very right, Gaurav. Actually, when Taher was responding to last couple of questions, I had asked this question to myself and noticed actually that the percentage of professionally qualified resources presently has actually now gone up to 90 to 95% in our teams, right? Earlier, this percentage used to be around 30 to 40%. And those positions were also reserved for only the mid or the senior management people, right? So in a finance department, you would have a chartered accountant as the CFO, but everybody under him would be a plain commerce graduate. In some cases, and I've seen this, to be very frank with you, even engineers actually working in finance departments, right? So again, I'm not saying engineering is not a professional qualification. Please don't get me wrong there, right? But what I'm saying is people are not having a professional accounting or a finance qualification. Now, coming back to your question, if you ask me now, as I said, 90 to 95% of the team is actually professionally qualified, having specifically accounting related qualifications. And out of that, again, 7 members, which I have been recruiting for the last 5 to 7 years, I would say, have been majorly towards ACCA. They have either completed their ACCA or are doing their ACCA, maybe 1 or 2 papers here and there left, right? So this itself is an indication the way the course is catering to the demands or the requirements of the industry. As Taher actually very aptly put, that it's not a conveyor belt, right? They are not actually producing anything and everything which is actually there. But however, they are very, very open to the suggestions which the industry actually has, right? Any progressive professional course would always be mindful of the changes in the requirements which are there in the profession, which now I understand is the backbone of the ACCA course. Also, one thing I'd like to actually add here is that we have also noted that ACCA qualified employees are more equipped to handle the complex situations and also the work pressures of the current environment. And hence, the majority of them actually follow a faster growth path than their peers.
That is true, and I second that thought of yours. Where we stand, we do understand that if you have an ACCA qualified individual, it's much easier for you to expose him or her to the clients, to the individuals, and probably the success path, or I would say the progression path, is much smoother, faster compared to the others, for sure. Since we were talking about just now about the changes in the industry, Taher, something that probably I think you can dwell upon, with this current and probably very frequent changes in the landscape of the industry, the economies nowadays very completely move within 4 to 5 years, right? Are there any new modules or updates that ACCA has come up on its courses with regards to making sure that this changing landscape of the industry is taken care of and the students are well versed with that? Is there anything on those lines?
Yes, absolutely, Gaurav. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, our focus is not just around ensuring we're producing qualified chartered accountants, but it's also very much around employability And I think sometimes, it can be very misquoted. People tend to misunderstand the difference between employment and employability. They're two very related, but still very, very separate terms. You focus on employability and employment will definitely, follow through. So I think, everything we do in terms of the qualification, the changes, etc., are all in line to ensure that our members, future members, students, etc., have the right employability skills. And if you look at the trajectory of the qualification, I mean, the way I did my exams is very different to the way students now, this day and age, do the exams. I had to sit for 3 hours writing with a pen and on a piece of paper, and at the end of 3 hours having achy palms, etc. We've evolved the qualification tremendously to ensure that the exams are relevant. Our exams have moved to computer-based exams since 2015, so we don't host any pen and paper exams anymore. Our platforms are sophisticated. Students, we do not, when we examine students, we do not want to understand their knowledge, but we want to understand their application of that knowledge. So all of our exams are very much scenario-based examinations. Strategic business leader is an example of one of the recent changes we've done to the qualification, which is a case study based exam, which no other professional qualification has. And I think in terms of the syllabus, it gets updated annually every year to kind of ensure that it is relevant. And we don't do this all by our whims and fancies. All of these informed decisions around changes to the qualification, its structure, the examinations, the syllabuses, come from our network of employers. It is our employers who we continually engage and keep consulting annually, yearly basis, saying, well, are the ACCA members or are our ACCA students, an asset to you? If not, what else can we do to ensure they are more employable? What else can we do to ensure that they are doing what you are expecting them to do and they are contributing towards the growth of the organization? And therefore, in line with that, all of the changes kind of come about. But yes, in short, the qualification is evolving. The future of the qualification is going to be even much more different to what we're seeing it right now. And I am, honored to be a part of that core team that is kind of deciding on which way which direction the professional qualification will be heading. So, I'm seeing what is going to come in the future as part of the qualification changes and all of that. And I think it's all going to be incredibly, intriguing.
That I think I totally agree with you that with the changing landscape and what you've just mentioned about, especially how ACC has evolved the courses, that helps students, and in this environment that we are in, the more agile you are, the better your employability and naturally better your understanding of the industry and how the economy is moving. So that helps a lot, and I totally second to what you have just mentioned. I think that makes sense as well. I think probably the last question from me, before we just open up for some questions from our attendees. Is there also an alumni network or a community, Taher, that probably individuals who have completed ACCA courses can look at, and how does it benefit the graduates? Because graduates are people who are just coming in, right, not yet completed their ACCA courses. If there is an alumni network, how they can probably help these graduates in understanding, evolving their understanding of how the course is, what is the way forward for them. Is there anything on those lines that you have?
Absolutely, Gaurav. When somebody decides to, join the ACCA community and the focus around building and a super connected community is the emphasis around this is very high for us. In fact, it is an integral part of our, long-term vision, our long-term strategy as well. And in doing so, what we do as a professional body is we try to become a super connector where we connect our employer network, our academic network, our existing student, members, etc., and we engage them through various platforms. some of which are in the form of events, some of which are in the form of, alumni groups like this postmaster community, like the members advisory committees. We also support our students and affiliates with mentorship programs. So we have a dedicated ACCA mentorship program where, a lot of senior mentors can support students with sort of some guidance, some mentoring on their professional journey, etc. So there are several platforms and various means of supporting students with building their careers, giving them guidance. Once you become a part of the community, and this is a lifelong journey, once you even qualify and become an ACCA member, we look after your career development requirements, your CPD requirements, your professional qualification, professional development requirements, and we offer you opportunities, as a professional body to continually keep on upskilling. So for example, when you and we did our exams, integrated reporting, the developments in technology, fintech, blockchain were never to be heard or seen anywhere. But, that does not mean that we are not updated on those things. We are very much, because of being a part of a professional qualification that is, continually investing in our development and ensuring that even members that have passed out previously are still keeping themselves relevant and updated. So these are things that we kind of build into the qualification. And when we say we are your lifelong partner in your career's journey, this is how we sort of go about proving it.
Great, Taher. I think though I am not an ACCA member, but I have as many ACCA members who work with me, and I can think through that what you have just mentioned, probably understand. Yes, there is a lot of activities that they are involved in, be it at the network alumni network level with other, as you mentioned, on the Toastmasters, sports events or others. So in that sense, I agree. I think that is something for the students to think through. I think I don't have any major questions left for me. I think we are also limited on time, nor this can continue for another 2 hours, and we'll still be asking questions of you, Taher, because of the wealth of knowledge that you have on the ACCA courses. But I thank you, Taher and Alok, for joining me, helping me moderate this session, and especially for ACCA and for the attendees to understand that ACCA is bringing to you a course, not a course, probably, as Taher was just mentioning. It's a partnership that you evolve in, where is a continuous process, till you want it to continue, maybe for 60 years, 70 years, depending upon how much your working life would be, but not even until to your working life, but even post that, because post that you become guardians for people who are going to join in. So in that sense, I believe this partnership, this alumni network, especially the bachelors and the masters that you get along with ACCA, no entry level barriers for people to join in. I think these are things which, if being a parent, I think probably that would be, if someone gives me an option of choosing all that against the rest, I'll just plain walk towards towards this. And it's easier for students also, because with the current scenarios that you just mentioned, where 95% marks are also not enough. I think thinking from that perspective, and for mediocre students like me, I would have been amazed had I been given that opportunity of doing an ACC as compared to a chartered accountant from India in that sense. But those options have just opened up now. So guys, I think I thank you all with giving such a perspective, such a simple and important perspective to all the attendees.